Trevor, does it go to show that all the messaging, and if you like, the taking the knee gestures over the last few years have pretty much been pointless?
No, I think it goes right against that. I think it means that we've still got a lot of work to do. I think when you hear Leno speak there, or when he tweeted what he tweeted about he first experienced racism 20 years ago when he first started playing football, and he's still experiencing it now, I think it's a failure on everyone as a society.
That's what I mean, which means all the campaigning's been pretty pointless.
Why has it been pointless?
Well,
because if we don't do anything, I was
getting it 20 years ago, and I'm getting it today.
If we don't do anything, nothing will happen. So, we go back to 1965, 1968 when the Race Act was actually wrote, and it became a crime to racially abuse anyone. We're just dragging our feet to put it over the line and make sure that this abhorrent behaviour from people, vile people, should stop. And if it doesn't stop, in football we can manage the situation ourselves. We can ban him. We can tell his workplace what he's been up to. They can report him to the police or the people, because it wasn't just one. And there wasn't a lot of people. I've seen this video. There wasn't a lot of people behind the goal where this happened. So it must be quite easy to identify the people that were doing this, get them banned, kick them out of football. You're not wanted, and let's move on with our game and let's move on with society.
Linnell John Lewis has stressed, the player at the receiving end of it, says, we'll kick it out if it happen. While racism is still in society,
so what do you want us to do?
It will not.
Well, what do you want us to do? Because I hear people say, "Oh, I'm getting sick and tired of this." Most black people have to live with this from when they can understand words until they die. So we have to continue to fight against this disease, because if we don't, this will continue. And I'm probably talking on behalf of everyone. We're going to continue to fight, and we're going to continue to fight this disease.
You've been on the receiving end.
Of course I have. I've had the monkey chance, and please God, my kids don't ever have to hear that, because they all play football. But we're failing. In football, we're failing. In society, we're failing, because, especially in football, because we can manage and we can govern our own stadiums. Now, the Yeovil fans, for me, why would you accept that from some of your own fans? Get the stewards involved, get the names in, get them kicked out of your stadium, get them kicked out of your club. You don't want them there. And as a football authority, the FA, get on your toes and get something done about this, and get the people and the culprits who were racist to this young man and kick him out the game.
And that's what they tend to do. I mean, I don't think it's a reflection of society. I don't think you can just put it on society. I think you have to put it on the individual that chooses to behave in this fashion. And tragically, we live in a world where it's not a perfect world, and there are a very small minority of people that hold very unpalatable views. And I think football's reaction to it is as strident as it can possibly be. We don't live in a world where they're the thought police. The people that run football clubs, the people that run the FA are not thought police. They can't look into the minds of a moron. The young man that was on the receiving end has pretty much categorised it in one respect very well, and perhaps not in another. He's called them mindless cowards, because that's what they are. They're mindless cowards. I can't get into the head of why somebody would want to do a monkey chant to somebody, because I wouldn't want to be able to relate to it. If I could relate to it or understand it, then it would be concerning for me about my own motivations. But to suggest that football doesn't react to it and he won't hold his breath to the Yeovil's investigations, I think is a little bit unfair, because I think because football does react to it.
I agree.
It reacts stridently to it. There is no tolerance.
But you're not a fan of the taking of the knee.
No, I'm not. Because my reasons are very...
Trevor's saying it's got to go on to eliminate stuff like this.
We're all entitled to different views. And I don't subscribe to the view that because people experience racism, that makes a country institutionally racist. I don't subscribe to that view. To have institutional racism, everything has to be weighted.
But why are we going into institutional racism? We're talking about equality, and we're talking about kicking racists out of football. That's why players take the knee.
But there aren't racists in football. There are racists on the terraces, and that's a societal issue. And what I'm suggesting is that, and this is an argument that we regularly discuss, there is racism in all communities, not just in the white community. Absolutely. There's racism in the black community. But if you've got 55 million people in this country that are white, and you've got 5 million that are black, even if you have 1% of both communities, you're still going to have 10 times as many racists in the white community as you do in the black, because of the nature of the makeup of this country. What you can't do is you can't tolerate it and accept it, but nobody is tolerating it and accepting it. Football isn't tolerating and accepting it. Football is suggesting and stating and reinforcing the point of view. But what happens is activists get hold of this and they start to turn everything into a prism of everything is about race. If there's no representation in the boardroom, it's because of racism. If there's no representation in the dugout, it's because of racism. And that's not necessarily true. And that's where I push back against it. I do not push back against someone's refusal to accept a mindless moron in the terraces giving a monkey chant to a player because he's black. Who would want to accept that besides a racist? There's no justification behind it, and football does not.